Welcome back. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Spitfire Mark IIB. The Spitfires have been requested on my channel quite a bit, but there's a reason I don't particularly like flying these things, and that's essentially because you can't really make up your own terms. The Spitfire that we are looking at today is kind of made worse by the fact that the engine also overheats extremely badly. So your top speed and your retention and your climb are all worsened over the long term because you can't really push this engine as much as you want to. So all in all, 3.7, way too high of a BR, but the Spitfire still has its main strength, which is turn rate of course, and the fact that it has a supremely low stall speed. And this P51C10 is the P51 that we will meet in the next clip as well, and he makes the exact same error. He misjudges our energy and the fact that we don't really stall out, and this is how you will get a lot of kills. People try to stall you out, people try to drain you of your energy, and it just doesn't work most of the time. Now of course if you start overheating, yeah, you're gonna run out of energy very quickly, but you just want to make sure that if you are out of combat, you don't cook your engine too much. I am running Mk, I run it on 95% prop pitch, my radiators are on like 50%, and most of the time you can get away with this, and then when I really need to push it, I'll go to web and I'll extract every little bit of performance that I can get out of this thing. Right now, this is prime time Spitfire hours. You are above everyone, we have the ability to kind of boom and zoom, and just make sure that we don't need to have much energy generation, because we already have a lot of energy. We are going decently quick and we have a lot of altitude, so I can kind of pick and choose targets, and I'm gonna go for the most opportune ones, while also making sure that I don't waste any or not too much speed. P63 is presenting himself only a kilometer away, 900 meters, pitching up for us, so we roll out of the way, we pull back in, and this guy basically signed his own death warrant, because at this kind of speed it's extremely easy for me to clean him up. So right now we can do two things. We can go straight up or continue on the attack and keep on the pressure. And keeping on the pressure in this case is actually more beneficial because it drains them of their speed quicker, and it makes it so that we don't become a sitting duck by pitching straight up. Right now I also have a teammate around, he's right next to me, and this makes sure that I have a safety net and that we can trade blows. So the second I notice that they are starting to get slow and they don't really pose a threat anymore, I'm gonna full send it. Shoot down the F4U. I get behind 109 G2, he gets absolutely disassembled and put in the spare part bin, and the other P51 is basically dead. He's going to crash relatively quickly, but we have a J21 at altitude, so I kind of asked the Typhoon, go for the J21, he has more speed than me, he has all the chances in the world to kill it, and then I can focus on the J26, that's a little bit lower. This time we split our forces, and we should win both of these fights relatively handily. The Typhoon then makes a bit of a questionable call, and he decides to go for the J26. Now, in a way this does make sense, but he is also kind of leaving me out to dry, because if this J21 above me actually played his cards right, I was gonna have a little bit of an issue. The J21 is definitely not a great aircraft, and I do not care what you tell me in the comments of how high your KD is in it. It is not a great aircraft. Performance wise, especially if you know what you are doing, you're probably not gonna be shot down by it. So I roll out of the way, I go up over his nose, and I instantly get on the 6. And all I've been doing now is essentially set up the kill for the Typhoon, because the Typhoon went for the guy that I was engaging. Now I'm not really going to complain about it, because we did have some pretty decent teamwork here, and we did clean up the entire blob, but this could have played out a little bit differently if the enemy had a better understanding of what they were doing. If I was a J21, I would have prayed for the Typhoon to do exactly what he just did. So a little bit of an error, no real big issue, because well, the Typhoon just has too much performance to really worry about that kind of thing. So we have a J26 David coming in from the right, well, we might as well call him Michael in this case, and I'm trying to do a little bit of an energy trap here. I'm keeping my speed, I'm not climbing at my optimal speed because that's going to make me too slow, but when he starts getting closer, it turns out he actually has a little bit more energy than I thought. So instead of trying to stall him out like the first P51 that we met in this clip did, we are going to go defensive by picking up a little bit of speed and then making sure that we can stay out of his guns. Now the second the merge really happened, he is essentially dead unless he tries to run away. Right now I'm just trying to turn in front of him, I'm just trying to get him to stick for as long as possible so that he is as slow as possible. 4 rounds left, right in the cockpit, thank you for the kill. And then the last guy is that B18 over there, and I'm telling the B18 you can go bomb, You can just kind of not worry about us, but he kept ignoring us and he kept running away, so in the end I decided to engage him anyway. The issue is I only have 900 MG rounds, I only have 3 minutes of fuel, and this guy keeps flying away and try to use his gunners. And I'm not complaining, that's exactly what he needs to do, but it's extremely annoying when you don't have the ability to really put out a lot of firepower at the moment. And I need to sit in that gunner for pretty long, because, well, you guessed it, I don't have any cannon rounds left. So I dive on him, he turns under us to dodge the shot, I guess. And at this point I have a minute of fuel. I need to down him right here and now. He is close enough, but I still need to make sure that I do not get slammed by that 30mm. Because that gunner right there hits extremely hard. He hits us once, doesn't do major damage luckily for us. And at this point he just needed to book it, but he goes a little bit too defensive because we are a little bit closer than he probably likes. And I'm just trying to kill the gunner. Really, that's my main concern here. The second that gunner dies, there is nothing this guy is going to be doing. So I'm just kind of trading blows, pulling in, shooting, pulling out, not getting a kit. And then when he starts turning a little bit, I know that the dead zone of that gunner right on the top is extremely big. So I'm going to try to sit a little bit in the side. I'm not sure if I killed this gunner, but he stopped shooting. Maybe he's reloading. But considering he was very shoot happy, trigger happy, I assumed that the second he stopped shooting, he either had no shot, he was out of ammo, or I killed his gunner. All three of those things sound pretty terrific to me, so I'm gonna tail sit him and try to set him on fire. Game number 2. We are gonna be climbing in, and I'm just kind of deciding on who to engage. We have a P63 in front, we have a Yak-9 on the left, and then there is 2 more guys at a decent altitude on the left as well. There's an XP50 climbing above us in the clouds, but I'm just gonna be ignoring him for a little bit. I can't really touch him anyway, and I need to wait for him to engage us. So I'm not gonna be wasting my time. I'll be cleaning the rest up in the time that I do have. Kill number 1 in the clouds, doesn't really see us. Easy kill. Thank you contrails. I know that the XP50 is probably just AFK climbing. Or his brain AFK, one of the other things. He's just not actually actively playing the game. He's not gonna be putting any pressure on us. So what do? We are gonna be looking around and see who we can pressure. Because that's the main important part. And the Spitfire, you are not gonna be solo carrying versus 4 or 5 guys. If they are all decently quick, if they keep their energy, that they will drain your balls extremely quickly. And in a plane like this, you're not gonna be getting it back that fast. And even when you do, you are mostly forced to keep turning around because you can't run from anyone, making you even slower. Then they mostly push head-ons with you and you don't have the armor, the speed or the guns to really contest it. So you just end up getting slammed. So we dive in to the 2 guys on the deck because these 2 are low, slow and very close to each other. So I know that if I make one good dive, I can kill both of them at once. The P63 gets set on fire. Now he might put it out because P63s really like to do that. But at this point I don't really mind it. The Yak-9M, I mean, he just parks himself in front of me and he is accomplishing essentially nothing. And I'm just going to be spraying him down with my MGs because he's already pretty badly damaged. I know I'm going to catch him. So all in all, he's not really a threat. He gives me a big deflection, so I think I'll use a few cannon rounds, but I just don't want to use too many. The MG rounds are pretty bad and they are perfect for if you are dead on someone's 6. You have no other guys to worry you and you can just kind of take your time with a kill. Then the MGs are okay. Most of the other scenarios, not really worth it, not really great. So I try to use them whenever I can, so that I have the cannon rounds for when I actually need them. And here we have the P51 that we killed in the first clip. And this time, he's gonna try to do almost the same thing, but I mean, you'll see. So we are flying towards him. He's not really paying attention as of right now. And I'm just trying to close the gap. I'm just trying to get close enough. The tickets are dropping very quickly. And yeah, I keep complaining about it, but why do the tickets keep dropping when there is no player interaction? Just let me have the fights with other players. We are gonna win or lose regardless. Longer game means more RP. I don't really see the reason for why not to do it. The XP50 is still AFK climbing in the background, and the P51 kind of, yeah, he didn't expect my stall speed to be this low. And he's gonna go into a little bit of a downward spiral ish, and then he goes horizontal, but all this does is giving me the opportunity to pick my speed back up and then simply just pull straight into him. The P51C is one of the best planes at this BR, but again, very well turning planes with a low stall speed. they just completely cancel these kind of energy traps. You need to have more energy. Your engine power is not gonna make up the deficit, and you are just gonna be hanging yourself out to dry, because that stall speed is going to overtake your ability to make up power one way or another. Doesn't matter when, it is going to happen. And when it does happen, you are too late. You need to judge it early. If you see that you don't have an excessive amount of energy on a plane like this, and you put it into a spiral and you're going to stick it, eventually he is going to pull his nose on you, and you are going to go about 250, 300 kilometers an hour. You are in a very slow stall speed. You're trying to keep him as slow as possible, but you're also making yourself as slow as possible, and you're going to end up just hanging yourself out to dry directly in his guns. Now in this case it doesn't have many guns, but I still don't advise to park yourself in front of it. So right now we are again at a medium altitude, looking at praise below us, but I also know that there are some few guys in the clouds, so I'm gonna look at who to engage. And I'm really just looking for a plane that will give me the most issues late game, which would be the I-16, but I also don't want to waste too much energy, so I wanted to go for the LA-5. But then the I-16 just gets close to us again, and I know how annoying this guy is if everyone is slow, because he's relatively close to us in performance when it comes to a dogfight. But then the LA-5 breaks off, and he's at a medium altitude, so I know I can engage this guy and then go back to the I-16, but I still need to make sure that I'm not gonna get jumped by some dogs from behind. This LA-5, too slow to really do anything. Squeeze the trigger, blow him out of the water. 109 on R6, we need to go defensive here, but this is going to burn us a lot of energy, and I'm just trying to predict his turn and try to get into it before he passes us. Not even close to getting a shot, not even sure looking back at the replay why I even bothered to fire. And then I lose him for a second because I was just completely disorientated. But now I have both of them on the screen again, and I'm just looking at what to do. This BV is coming in very fast, and it looks like he has his eyes on me. He goes on my teammate for a split second, but the way he's flying, it tells me that he wants to come back down. He wants to come back down quick. He just doesn't want to waste too much speed. But I'm wrong. Turns out he breaks off, banks all his speed into altitude again, because the BV-155 is also one of those planes that doesn't really keep its speed that well. It doesn't go very fast in a straight line, and the second you go over your straight line top speed, you're gonna lose a lot of speed very quickly, because your plane just naturally wants to get rid of all that speed because of drag and stuff. So right now he still looks like he is somewhat, he's scheming something, but it also, he has a P51 on the 6. I'm not sure how vigilant he is, how well he is looking around, so it's always hard to determine what someone is doing exactly. Normally I can read it quite well, but this guy is tripping me up. But I think at this point he's just trying to get away from the P51. Maybe he's inviting the 109 to clear his 6, and then they can 2v1 the guy that's on the 109. And turns out that's exactly what's happening. The P51 gets gunned down, and now the P39 above us is kind of in a tight spot. There is of course another teammate and me below them, but we can't really do much at this point of time. The BV then shoots down the other J26, but then they all, within a split second, waste every advantage that they just had accumulated. This 109 should have kept a little bit of altitude. He should have stayed with his BV, because right now he broke off, he dove away, he got separated, and now the BV can't help this guy. He is just gonna be sitting here. The BV is of course trying to come in, but I mean at the same time we have too many teammates around. It's not looking too great for them, but I'm always looking at the intention of winning. Even though it might be 1v16, I really don't care. We are gonna try to carry the match, and they might have just gone for the quick RP route where they wanted to at least do something, but the BV really didn't like that he got separated from his waifu, and he just guns him down instead. The BV then just goes straight vertical, and I mean at this point, yeah, there's really not much to talk about. It's a matter of cleaning up, because well, that team was just completely gone. Now let's look at this last clip, and this last clip portrays your average experience in this thing quite well. We are at the start of the game. We have a P47 and a P51 coming in from the right, and I'm not trying to pull into the P47 too quickly, because I need to make it so that I can sync my turn with the P51. Luckily we also have a teammate around, multiple teammates around, and we have multiple enemies around, and because we have a Spitfire and because we have a little bit of energy stored and there's just a lot of people around, I can just send it. I don't need to boom and zoom here. I can just send it in this fight. And I am gonna be a very big nuisance because I'm not really here to outright get kills. Sure, if I get them, that's perfect. But I'm also not gonna be getting many kills because I need to get multiple shots on targets. But just staying around in a blob and turning after people, going for opportune targets, going for the prime targets of that group, you're gonna have a lot of game impact without even getting that many kills and assists. And the issue is that you don't get rewards for it. And that's another reason why I'm not too keen on these planes. I can have a massive impact on the game, and at the end of the day, I get nothing to show for it. And it's honestly a shame. Now, I personally, I don't really need the rewards. I have essentially every plane in the game already. But I know that a lot of you guys play Spitfires, and I would like to see a kind of a system, and I know that this has been talked about quite often, where you get more points for assist, or just keeping people busy, staying near people. Back in the day, you used to actually get points for just flying within a certain vicinity of a guy. But you know, Gaijin doesn't like free score, so we are not gonna be getting any. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.